Welcome in. This is Sean Pottinger here with MTG 808 Jr. And today we're going to talk about building vocabulary through Magic, right? So a lot of the schools that we're helping, right, school groups, school clubs, getting them into playing these Magic tournaments, but we also want to just help the students succeed in general, right? And part of that is having a really good vocabulary. This is something that I learned around the time that I was in high school, especially when I had to take my SATs, and I realized that the vocabulary section was just easy, right? Part of it was that I really liked reading, right? I read a lot of books, but I also read a lot of Magic cards, and reading Magic cards I think is especially powerful when it comes to learning vocabulary, because not only are you reading what all these words mean, but you get to kind of act it out, right? When you cast condescend, you know what it means to be condescending, right? If you cast a memory lapse, right? What the card does lets you know what a lapse in memory is. Okay, so building vocabulary through gaming, I'm a huge proponent of it. One of the many benefits of playing the best game ever created, Magic the Gathering. Um, yeah, so what really inspired this video is a recent experience that I had. Once again, I can't do any of the amazing work that I do if it wasn't for the teachers that are on the ground actually facilitating these Magic clubs, right? Providing the space for these kids to play. So I was helping out Kumuluka here in the middle from Kavaihona Public Charter School. He has an after-school gaming club, and I was helping them out the other day. I did an intro to Magic Day with them. Travis Wu helped me out with that a few weeks ago. And this past week, I got to just play some three-pack sealed with them, right? Kubaluka, he doesn't play the game himself, but he bought a booster box because he wanted to get some cards. And basically he let the kids open up these packs and see what it was like to open up packs. So that was a really cool experience. Some of his students got to experience that. And we played three packs sealed, right? So these kids went straight from playing the 30 card starter decks to playing three packs sealed. And we were playing two-headed giant format, right? The kids were getting really into it. They were realizing the power of instants, right? And being able to wait, right? Some of them felt what it was like to get mana screwed, right? So they were experiencing the game. They were really digging into it. So shout out once again to Kumuluka for inviting me in to play Magic with his students. So a couple of instances that came up, and these things just happened during the game, right? Somebody played a Prosperous Pirates, and these kids had never seen these cards before. They literally just learned how to play the game. They had to read every single card, and that process can kind of get overwhelming, right? The youngest kid that we were playing with was in fifth grade, and that can get overwhelming for them. So it's nice to kind of just pause the complexities of the game and have them look at the art. So what I did, somebody played this card. They were trying to figure out, oh, okay, so you get these treasure tokens. What does that mean? How does that affect the board? They were starting to think like they were playing the game. But then I just paused everyone for a second and I was like, do you guys know what prosperous means, right? Not everybody did, so I was like, okay, let's look at the art here. What is what are they doing, right? These are obviously pirates. What are they doing? Oh, okay, they're hauling around a bunch of gold, a bunch of treasure, right? They even make treasure when they come into play, right? So what do you think prosperous means, right? And the boy was like, oh, it means like greedy. And I was like, oh no, not quite, right? So it was a chance to kind of take a break from the game, step outside of it, immerse ourselves in the beautiful art of the game, which the kids absolutely love, and to really just kind of pick apart this word prosperous, right? He got to see not only the definition of the word, but see it effectively acted out by what this card did on the battlefield. So great learning opportunity right here when Prosperous Pirates came into play. Another one that came up was Tishana's Wayfinder, right? They were trying to figure out the explore mechanic, right? It's kind of confusing. There's lots of ifs and thens, right, all stuck together. For a kid in elementary school or middle school, it takes some time to kind of read through this card. So after they were kind of muscling their way through figuring out what was happening when this came into play, I paused everyone again and I was like, does everyone know what a Wayfinder is? Right? You look at the card art, and even if you don't know exactly what a Wayfinder is, the card art will probably give you some hints, right? This person is in a jungle. They're pointing at something, right? They're finding a way through the jungle. So just um, a second example of how the vocabulary here can be built and reinforced through playing games. The last example that happened was here, Crash the Ramparts. This one I think is especially going to stick because the boy that played this card, he used this card to basically completely destroy his opponents. Right, his team was attacking with a 5-3. Their opponents blocked. Thinking they would trade, and then he played Crash the Ramparts and killed their creature, dealt a bunch of damage to his opponents, and then their creature lived, right? So all these great things were happening. His patience with waiting to play the instant, it paid off greatly, right? He had that great emotional response. And then, after that happened, it was like, hey, man, that was great. That felt awesome. Do you know what a rampart is, right? And again, you just look at the art on the card, crash the ramparts. What's getting crashed on the card? And he's like, is it a wall? And I was like, yeah, that's pretty close. What more details can you tell me about the wall? And he looked at it and he was like, oh, it looks like a fort. I was like, yeah, ramparts are the walls that you build around like a fort or a castle, right? So he lived that experience of crashing the ramparts, right? He got to feel what it was like to blow his opponents out with this combat trick in the middle of a game. And this kid is going to remember what a rampart is, if he ever reads the card again, or, if he has to take it on some standardized test. So, yeah, that was the awesome part of playing 3-pack sealed. Also, 3-pack sealed, those of you that are interested in trying out new formats for beginners, I'd recommend it, right? It's kind of like Mini Masters, where you just open a pack and then you shuffle the pack up with 2 or 3 lands, two or three of each basic land, and then you play. What I did was I had them take only the commons, right? The Kumuluka was keeping the rares. He didn't want them to get all scuffed up, so they weren't playing with the rares. They got to open the packs though and look at the rares. They were really excited. They opened a Jace. But so I just had them take only the commons of all 3 packs and then shuffle them up with I believe it was 5 of each land. Did we do 5? 4 of each land. We did 4 of each land. So, and everyone's deck was kind of not that great, but it was fine because everyone's deck was kind of not that great. But they had a good time. They got to play with all the different colors. They got to learn about all these different mechanics, right? Combat tricks, making treasure tokens, exploring, right? So it was a great introduction to the complexity of a not core set. Right, an expert level expansion for the set. So yeah, I had a good time hanging out with these kids, playing some 3-pack sealed, and just learning some vocabulary along the way. While playing this game that they were all stoked on. So thanks for stopping by. I hope this was helpful. Leave me a comment. Give me some feedback. Would love to hear from you. And thanks for stopping by. Cheers.